Hello everyone, welcome to the Exceeds Trades channel. I'm going to be going over recovering over a loss on Thursday, October 2nd. We had this unexpected little loss, but we did recover it with this nearly 1 to 4 risk to reward ratio trade soonly right after, and I'll explain why. We could have held a little longer, but considering we're already about 3:30 p.m., I was about at a 3.91, 3.92, so I decided to close there instead of being stingy for the 1 to 4, but basically a 1 to 4. So, gonna get right into it. Gonna go into why we took the first original trade, which ended up in a loss, and the second trade that ended up going for nearly a 1 to 4 using the exact same entry signal and trading strategy. So let's go right into it. I'm going to delete everything here. We're going to start from the top. So first and foremost, I will replay it to about, let's see, let's go back to NASDAQ here. We will bring it back to about, I'll bring it back to about 10 o'clock because there was news around that time, so we'll go ahead and start after news already hits. Let's just do it right before 10 o'clock. Okay, so normally I'm sitting down at the computer and we're marking everything up by 8:30, but considering we had news at 10 o'clock, I'm just gonna fast forward the video a little bit for time's sake purposes and go ahead and start from here. So I'm going to assume that everyone knows how to mark the highs and lows of days already. So this is our high of day. It's the previous trading day. This will be the low of day. You have to make sure that we are using what's in session. This candlestick is just barely out of session, so this would be the correct low of day. And then I'm going to go into the second previous trading day. This would be the previous high of demand, and then this would be the previous low of day, previous high day and previous low day. Then we'll go into the weekly and we'll start marking up what we find here, which currently we are making higher highs, so there is not too much to work with, so we have to mark whatever we can. We are working with demand, so we have this weekly demand right here, that price left behind. You can see this is somewhat of a market structure area where price created a higher high, higher low, and broke structure. So this is our weekly demand. Daily, we have a few dailies that we can mark up. So I will mark this one up considering it broke above this previous high. So I'll mark this up as a daily. And then I'll mark up one lower one as well. I believe this one is not touched yet. We see that price is coming off this daily candlestick here. Price came up here and then came to this daily previous contrary candle before this big push and use this one. You can see if I mark it up as a box that it is bouncing off of this area of demand. Alright, so this one is not quite touched. It looks like it is, but if you zoom in, it's not exactly touched. So this will be our next daily demand. We'll go into the 4 hour and we'll see what else we have. Alright, so we also have a 4 hour right on top of the daily. And see that this one is also another H4 demand. Let me bring this over here, but just so that we know we are still respecting demand and price is currently finding supply. We are at all-time highs, so it's just going to keep bouncing up until it finds a supply, and when we start breaking demand, we'll start looking for sells using supply. So let's see what we got here. All right, we have this H1. So far we don't have too much other than demand. We have this one. And as far as supply goes, we will mark this one up just for the sake of marking whatever we have for supply because there's not really anything to the left that we can use. This is the only area of supply. All right, we'll go into the M15 and we'll see what we got here. All right, and then as far as an M15, we do have this M15 demand here. I will just mark it up as this, and I'll even mark it up as a box just so we kind of have an idea of how much of the demand we actually have. All right, so now here, price, we're looking for an M1 confirmation off of this area to continue the buys. We do see that we have a void to fill on the top side, and price is still respecting demand. So we're going to go into the M1 time frame. Since we are in session, we can look for an M1 confirmation off of one of these two areas. And then we'll see that price didn't quite touch the H1. It did touch the M15 though. Waited for the M1 confirmation, which is the previous candle behind a big push after shifting structure. So once we have this closure here, we can see that we had lower low, lower high, lower low, and then we waited for price to shift structure above this high. You can see that price did close above this high. So we did have an M1 shift to structure right here. Mark this M1, and then this would be our trade here. Like so. And this is where we took our first loss. Let price play out. And you can see price literally came to our entry a little later. Okay, perfect. Right there, price ends up tapping us in, does give a reaction, but it looks like price ends up going for that H1 instead. And we do see that price ends up taking us out for the first loss. And that's okay, but I am still watching price to see if we're respecting this H1. So let me get rid of this M15 just so you're not confused. And we'll take a look at the H1 just to see how big the candlestick actually is. It is the entire H1 candle. That's our demand. All right, so we've got this. We're still inside the H1. Then we continue. All right, now once we see this, now off the H1 demand, we see another shift of structure with a big push, right? Lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, M1 shift of structure, big push, contrary candle. Let me delete this. We have our M1 left behind. Willing to take another trade off this area, still a strong area of demand, respecting the H1, and you can see on the H1 time frame as well, that price was not breaking past it. M15, 5, M1. Also looked at the M5 just to see if there's a candle here that we could have used as well, but the M1 was good enough for our entry. And we'll see that literally price plays to perfection with a sniper entry. And that was recovering from a loss. Beautiful trade, beautiful second entry. We're very patient, very, very disciplined with our strategy, and executed it perfectly. So that is the Jordan strategy, going for a 1 to 3.92 there, and if we would have held, would have ended up going for further. I believe it ends up going for about 1 to 6, but 3.9, 1 to 4 is more than what you need to be profitable. Hope you guys like this video. Hopefully it's very educational. I hope you guys stay tuned with our journey.